Welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today we have two returning guests. They might have been on last week. They might have been on last month. Time means nothing to me anymore. I truly do not know, but I just know the feeling that I got. And it was an amazing feeling of two insanely popular, professional, legendary podcast artists that know everything. Their shows, even the rich, even the royals, Rich and Daily. You can check all of these out on all of your podcasting apps. And what we always do, we say up front, we want to subscribe and give these podcasts 5 stars on both Apple Podcasts and Spotify, because it doesn't matter how well you think we all are doing. It always helps to have new people come in and new people that support, so we can have new people discover. And hopefully I can be somewhat of a Huffington Post to put you in the right direction, to aggregate you to like really talented people. And we have 2 of those people back with us today. They are the hosts of all those podcasts I just named, the one and only Brooke, Siffrinn, and Aricia Skidmore-Williams. Welcome back to the show.
Oh my
Hi,
God.
Ryan. My God, we got to take you everywhere we go.
I know. They're always the best intros.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
just truly the best.
What I've come to realize, that's it doesn't get better than that. Like the first minute of the show is like what I'm good at, and the rest of the show is up to you guys at this point.
Right. Well, that's not great.
Well, I mean, if you ever decide to give up podcasting, you could absolutely be a wedding MC.
Oh, for sure.
Just like the
Definitely.
energy.
You just really crushed me right there. What a roast of me. If you decide to quit podcasting, you could go into wedding DJ. Like, that was such a roast.
I don't know about your
else.
ability to play music, but you're really good at introducing people. Like, for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. or whatever.
Well, you can have an MC and a DJ, so you don't even have to be good at music.
Yeah, perfect.
Aricia just took away one of my jobs. She said, well, you could be the host. I don't know if you can DJ, but you can.
I don't want to go on record saying you'd be an amazing DJ if I don't have evidence to prove that. And then people come for me.
Oh my God. I'm
like,
DJ
Ryan just plays
James
Taylor
Kennedy.
Swift over and over again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
There's nothing wrong with playing Taylor Swift over and over again, which we'll actually get into. But I mean, just to remind people really quickly, we went over your origin story last time, but how long have you guys been doing this together? You've been friends for such a long time. You know, how briefly, once again, how did you get into all of this together?
So
it's the classic tale.
Yeah, we were working together doing valet parking, and we ended up becoming roommates and friends. And then Aricia saw the posting for Even the Rich in a Facebook group. We auditioned, we got it, and then we got the spinoffs from there. So we've been podcasting for 4 years now together.
Yeah, almost 4.5, because we started at end of January.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said last time, could you ever imagine where you guys are at today, and that you get to do this on a daily basis?
Truly thought it was going to be a 10-episode thing, and that would be it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this will be so fun. This will be a great thing to get me to the next thing. Look at us now.
I mean, but like, honestly, I was talking to some people last night. I was invited to this, like my college alma mater's like function in like Laguna Beach. Was like super fancy for Arizona State University. I was blown away. But like, I was in conversations with people going like, when I was in college, podcasting really didn't exist. There was no there was no marker that this is where I was headed or where I wanted to head. But at the same time, I've never felt like something has fit more like a glove than this. Do you ladies feel the same?
I do.
I was literally just saying this the other day. I was like, I didn't pack up everything and say, I'm moving to California to podcast. And yet I'm doing it, and it's incredible. Like, this is such a dream job.
Yeah, I mean, I went to college for hosting, so I always wanted to host in some capacity. So this is just the dream, because I don't necessarily, I mean, obviously I would love to do more hosting, but this is like the easiest. You don't have to put pants on if you don't want to. You just,
I don't.
Yeah, you just have your personality.
The only thing you have to put a bra on, and I'm like, even now I'm like, oh, bra
Makes
on
one
Sunday,
of us.
this is torture.
Well,
I can't afford to not wear a bra, okay?
Aricia's roasted me again. Just tell me I need to wear a bra, Aricia. My God.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry I didn't put it on.
I'm just glad you're picking up what I'm putting down, Ryan. Like,
yeah, she messaged me. She's like, how should I
Is this
Ryan?
Is this Yahoo not going to wear a bra again? He obviously needs it. Brooke, you said you went to a hosting college. The hosting colleges exist?
No. I went to the University
like clown college.
I wish hosting college existed. That would be amazing.
Honestly,
but,
it probably does somewhere. Somebody
I don't want it
running a back alley hosting college, and that could be perfect to really put our mind to it.
Yeah, that's the only way I'll support it is if I'm running it, because I don't want the competition of more hosts just coming out, constantly. But no, I went to an actual college, but I majored in broadcast.
Like, it's accredited, I swear.
It's real. I have a diploma. I'll show you.
It's Donald Trump University. He wouldn't lead you down a wrong path.
Yes.
It's hosting and reality shows.
Yeah, I was supposed to host The Apprentice, and then it got canceled. That was a promise I was made.
Yeah.
But no, I just went. My major was broadcast communication, so I was always doing hosting in school, and I was like, I'd really love to do this as a career, and then it just kind of happened. And you're right, like it happened, and it just feels right. Like you're like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Well, and I wish. Well, I mean, I didn't even know about hosting college, but broadcast journalism I had heard about.
Yeah.
But I didn't do any. I did like performing arts and like the improv route, and I know Aricia does improv and all of those things. But I was talking about this on the show the other day of like, man, I wish I had really clearly defined my hopes and my goals and my dreams much earlier in my 20s. Because I was like, wow, I could have had this much more time going after what I love, but we're all here now, which is the point.
Yeah.
And, your shows cover everything, royals, pop culture, and how I kind of think everything at this point intersects. Even we have true crime intersecting into pop culture as well. Yeah. We're going to do a quick round robin, but I just want to say really quickly, just to get your takes on this, and this has nothing to do, well, maybe a little to do with pop culture. I was on the road coming back from Laguna Beach this morning, and I saw 5 cybertrucks on the road. And I think these are the ugliest. The future cannot be this ugly. And I'm not like trying to hate against Elon or anything like that.
I'll do it. I'll hate against him.
But these are just ugly. Have you seen one on the road? They're ugly as hell.
My thing is, every movie that has existed that is like set in the dystopian future has cars that look like this or vehicles that look like this. And it's like, it's never portrayed as a good time to be alive. And it's like, why are we just willingly doing this? Like, do you not have any sense of what a cute looking car is? Like those little robots that deliver food are so adorable. Why would you make them into cybertrucks?
I had a dream about one of those robots last night, actually, that I saw one on the street.
Like a romantic dream?
No. Surprisingly, no.
Wally.
No, we just like kind of ran into each other, and he like moved. I don't know that it was a he, but he like moved over. Maybe it was romantic. Now that I'm,
Did you just gender the delivery robot?
Anthropomorphizing or whatever. I love it.
Yeah,
they're so cute though.
They are really cute. But yeah, cybertrucks are literally, and you can quote me on this, they're the Crocs of cars.
Yeah.
Well, listen. And sadly, like over the years, I've grown to appreciate Crocs, but I don't know if I'll ever grow to appreciate. No,
show us your feet. I'll Venmo you $15.
Yeah, let's put the Wiki feet page up right now.
Aricia's like wedding DJ or something in the foot industry would be amazing for you.
Yeah,
I think with all things, and I think pop culture kind of slides into this as well, is that how is the future looking this dumb? How is the future, with everything? And like I said, you guys host the Royals, even the Royals podcast, and business is booming for you guys in terms of Royals and the hunger, between what is going on with the princess, and then we had Prince and the kids over at Taylor Swift last weekend. What is your take on all of this? And is there this is a dumb question, or do you guys suppose there is a PR element to all of this in terms of the Royals and the Taylor Swift and all of that?
I think so.
I don't think in this day and age, if you're a celebrity or in the ether, the way that Royals are, the way that A-list celebrities are, it's never not fueled in some way by publicism. Like, it just can't be.
Yeah.
Too much of a reach.
Publicism a word?
It is now.
Wait, sorry, Brooke, we can't all go to hosting colleges.
Well,
I know, Brooke.
Check it out.
Give us a break, okay?
Yeah.
Sorry. I actually minored in PR, so.
Did you really?
I did. Publicism, yeah.
Wow.
It's right on the diploma. It says hosting college and publicism.
Sounds about right.
Well, in terms of publicism, though, it really does seem to like have such a stranglehold. And I think for the common lay person now, and I include us a little bit in this, we call out trends and things like pop culture. everything now, every person, even, my dad was like, well, that's all PR. When did we become so PR driven and focused and that we know how PR works? Even Taylor and Travis, you have constant discourse if it's a PR relationship, but to Aricia's point, isn't everything PR if you are a celebrity because you're in the public eye, and that is public relations?
I think that like us normies just don't trust anybody anymore. So everything we see, we're like, it's PR. It's PR. Yeah. We don't even know necessarily what that means, but it's PR because we.
I think it's a catch-all. It's a catch-all word to hold our fears in.
There are some things that I think aren't PR, like Justin Timberlake getting arrested.
Well, obviously,
but then it becomes PR.
Yeah,
publicist.
That video of them tasting Swiss candies or whatever. Did you guys see that? Like,
wait, Justin Timberlake?
Who was tasting it?
Justin Timberlake, Jessica Biel. It was this video
like him and the cop. Like,
you don't know who I am? It tastes this Swedish fish.
But they were backstage at one of his shows and they were taste testing Swedish candy and reacting and rating it. And it was all like fun and stupid. And all the comments were like, wow, fire your publicist. Like, this isn't going to make us forget that you got a TWI.
Oh, so this video was like in the last week.
Yeah.
Well, anything he does now is, there's just no way it's not publicized.
Well, I was thinking about this.
I'm scared to say that word now.
Killing me now.
I was thinking about this in the last couple of weeks since the Justin Timberlake thing, though, and also in the amount of hate out there in the world. And I think entertainment brings a lot of hate really into focus in a really weird way. Yeah. But even with Justin Timberlake, there is this sense of, and I know I might get kind of slaughtered for saying this, is that there is this element of, well, his name's in the news. We're talking about his tour. We're talking about him. His name's consistently out in the 24/7 media cycle again. Is this necessarily a bad thing? Because you could also flip the script and present him as, he needs our encouragement. He needs our love now more than ever. Do you guys think of it like that or see where that could be portrayed like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's the whole adage, no such thing as bad press or whatever. There's a reason that thing has been said for forever.
I feel
I'm sure his tour numbers have gone up since this. He is way more in the news and he's not being as vilified as I would have thought, at least based off the videos he posts.
But Aricia, I think that that's the thing too, is he's not, because he's been consistently vilified and sometimes for very real reasons, for we're talking 2+ decades of vilification, first for being in a boy band, which a lot of people, even though they love desperately, a lot of the other side hated boy bands. Then you had Britney Spears, you had Janet Jackson, all of these things. So there's a vilification that I'm sure he's used to, but it becomes a fever pitch in pop culture because of social media. I was, trying to explain to somebody like, oh, Justin Timberlake, love his music. Oh, I'd go see him live. And I'm like, have you been on Twitter? Oh, they hate him. They hate him. But you almost forget that there's this other segment of the population that are not as plugged in as we all are that still remember him of like, I love that guy. It's interesting.
Well, it's like, it makes me think of the Kardashians. Like every time there's a post about them, the engagement is all, stop showing these people on my feed. I can't stand them. They're terrible. And yet they still have a show that hasn't been canceled. They're still out there making tons of money. So clearly it's the vocal group is the minority, because otherwise we wouldn't see them as much. Like they're bringing in money.
I think one example we've seen of bad PR, actually 2 examples we've seen of this not being the case. Like, oh, well, all press is good press. Armie Hammer's a really good example of that. That guy's career is gone.
Well, there's some things you can't recover from.
Exactly.
In this country, you can recover from a DUI, which is something I do.
Okay, but what about Jennifer Lopez? Everyone knows she's terrible now.
Oh my God, these are all topics I had to talk about.
I think J-Lo will have a comeback. I just don't. I think it's too soon.
Absolutely not.
She doesn't like Virgos, but I do think.
No, I hate her because she takes tips away from industry workers, not because she hates Virgos.
That's where it all started.
What do you mean takes tips away? She'll tip and then take it back at the last minute?
Oh, Ryan.
No, she
didn't. Tell me it all.
No, let me tell you, because Aricia loves her.
There. I don't love her.
There's
a
more than
out
one.
there that she Ben tipped and she took some back from when
No. This isn't a one-time Ben tipped and she took it back. Every single person she has been with will tip like $100, let's say, and she'll be like, no, and she takes it back and leaves them 10. And I used to live in Vegas, and I know a ton of people who work in hospitality in Vegas who all have this story about her. They're everywhere, and I think it's catching up with her.
I mean, this was actually something I was going to talk to you about, because over the weekend we got TMZ pictures that Ben Affleck has moved out of the domicile that they bought, the $60 million mansion. Now they have not sell. Exactly. And they have not officially made any announcements, even though every day it's ring watch with Ben Affleck. Is he wearing the ring? Is he not wearing the ring? And it's like, if I made a joke, if he wears the ring 3 days in a row, we will get 6 more weeks of summer this year. So we're really but
I hope not.
You know, we had J-Lo over in Italy, you know, she was, you know, taking pictures of her backside on a little boat. And then we had her TMZ alert where she took a normal flight like us normies do. She didn't have a private jet. She was on a commercial airline. But Ben Affleck is
here.
That
money from the tour. She needs to. She can't afford private anymore.
We'll talk about PR being like, look at me, guys. I'm just normal. I'm flying like you guys.
But Brooke, you are saying that as somebody that obviously already doesn't like Jennifer Lopez. So everything that she does is going to be stung by your actual thoughts on her up to this point.
J-Lo could rescue every dog in the world, and Brooke would be like, no, fuck this bitch.
Here's the thing, Aricia, you can stop nodding.
It's so true. You were like, not ever come back.
If you guys remember, and I'm sure you do, because of course you guys are both watching my stories religiously on Instagram. When she wore that one dress somewhere, I was like, she looks great. This is the best she's ever looked. When we talk about their marriage, I'm like, let's stop speculating. Let's give them time. So I am actually, when it comes to the reporting on her, I look at it from an unbiased standpoint. Do I think she's a terrible person? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean
bias.
I can give her, I've given her props when they're due, and I will. She was great in Selena. There you go. And it was all downhill from there.
20 plus years. She was great in the first movie that she ever did. Amazing stuff. Really downhill since. Well, but Ben and Jen are such a perfect example of pop culture. You know, everything. It's Kardashians related in a sense because it touches so many other things. It touches finances, movie, TV, music, touring. You know, Jennifer Lopez had to cancel her tour. She said, put out this beautiful statement. I need to be, I'll let you guys know more at a later date. And also there was speculation that obviously the ticket sales weren't going well. So maybe this was part of that. But I find it so interesting and sad to a degree because you're like, man, this is the second time they've tried this relationship. We all kind of, in terms of pop culture, want a fairy tale. When they first got back together, everybody was losing their GD minds. And I think it's also a great example of that we never really truly can escape who we are. You know, we can grow in small ways. But did you guys watch the Jennifer Lopez documentary on Amazon Prime?
We sure did.
We did.
Well, and I wanted, because you guys, well, and I was comparing, and you guys covered this on your show, the I Am Celine Dion documentary that's Amazon Prime as well. And it's a real study in two different types of pop culture singers. And I use that word lightly for J-Lo. Sorry, J-Lo. But, you know, the J-Lo documentary, I always tell the audience, was just so weird because you just sense that she wants this so badly and she's had it for so long. And I do agree with Aricia that I think she will do a comeback. I think she is that kind of fighter that she will never go away. She'll lose love.
I think she's just too saturated. She needs to get out the same way that after the post Ben Affleck stuff, 1.0, they both kind of went their own ways, obviously. And then I feel like there's lately been a huge resurgence of her, hugely in part because of Ben. But I feel like she just needs some downtime, needs to get away without the paparazzi.
Well, it's interesting because I feel like the Kardashians have done this as well, is where I remember when J-Lo, she had that huge movie career at the beginning and also huge music career. And then there was a period of time where people were like, you're not really that, it's not really that amazing or that good. And then I remember about 10 years ago, there was this resurgence where all of a sudden she was getting these awards of legend awards or people that had been in the industry. And you're like, oh, J-Lo, what a performer, what a dancer, what a singer. And then I feel like we're now in another kind of section of her career that is the downward slope. But how in this day and age are we sympathizing with a male, with Ben Affleck? We almost go, well, J-Lo must be awful. Do you guys get that sense or feel that as well?
Oh God,
that we're sympathizing with Ben?
Yeah.
The whole narrative on social media is it's Jen's fault, and Ben is like, he married her, and she's the one that calls the paparazzi, blah 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 blah. And I think that there is, I'm not saying she's calling paparazzi, I'm sure they're there on their own, but I think there is a little bit of truth in that. But it's one of those things where it's like everything is repeating itself, including how the public is engaging and including how the media is portraying them, and we're just all with our clown makeup on playing the same parts.
Do you agree, Brooke?
No, absolutely the fuck not. Because I'll tell you why. Because
I'm going to break you. Wait, screw Ben and J-Lo. I'm going to break you guys up today.
There is a difference. Oh, just wait till we talk about Taylor and Travis. You want to see some haterade being drunk from Aricia.
I know I don't like them. Like, I'm not pretending I don't.
Yeah, why can't the three of us do a daily show? This is like the best fun I'm having this weekend.
I don't know that my vocal cords can take all the yelling, to be honest.
A regular day for us.
The reason I think it's different is because the first time they broke up, it was very much... The mask on J-Lo hadn't been taken off yet at that point, and it was very much not... She was portrayed terribly, and I don't think that we had a reason to do that back then. But now I think it's a little different with social media, because people are, if you look on TikTok, like there's so many people speaking up about the times they met J-Lo and all this stuff. It's like a viral thing at this point. And I think the mask has slipped a little on her. And I think that also contributes to the narrative around the two of them. I personally am not like, oh, I'm team Ben, poor Ben needs a hug, blah, blah. Like, I think Ben is a grown adult and he's grumpy and he can be grumpy if he wants. And I don't think it's because of her at all. And that's coming from someone who is not a fan of her. So I just think social media has played a lot into it, because it wasn't really around the first time, the first go of these two, the way that it is now. So I don't know. I think it's a little different.
I just find it interesting looking at like those paparazzi pictures of Ben driving around town, always has the coffee or the cigarettes. And I think a lot of us put this, vocal track behind these pictures of like, he's out there thinking, what did I do? How did I get myself in this again? Yeah. How can I survive? I've got kids. And then we look at J-Lo pictures of her on like, in Italy, taking a picture of her posterior. And she's like, I'm the shit. I don't even like, we just put different vocal tracks. And I find that interesting that we always sympathize and empathize. And obviously I'm mansplaining men to you guys, which is idiotic, but it is interesting that I will put that vocal track behind Ben, and it doesn't help that in the J-Lo documentary, like my favorite part I always tell the audience was, Ben put this book together of all of their correspondence and love letters and poems, and J-Lo just put it in her studio for music producers to flip through for inspiration. And then the guy, Ben Affleck, came in and they're like, hey, Penn Affleck, what up, Penn? Like, they didn't call him Ben, they called him Pin Affleck, because it was like...
Wow, that's some sick comedy right there.
But those romantic musings weren't meant for everybody's eyes. And that's like the perfect example. But J-Lo wanted to use it for her art.
Well, I also think if you look at the captions that they're posting, where it's like, after not being with his ring for 3 days, Ben looks really stressed out. And then J-Lo, it's like, J-Lo canceled her tour to spend time with her family, but she's solo taking pictures of her ass.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the narrative that's always being spun. And I am, let's be very clear, I am in no way a J-Lo stan. I was not rooting for Bennifer 2.0 at all. I was annoyed. I was like, I don't want to go through this again. Let's be very clear. But it's insane the way that the narratives have been spun and what everyone just immediately buys into.
It broke your heart so much the first time. You're like, I can't.
Even the first time, I was like, God, who cares about these idiots?
That's publicizing. That's publicism.
That's publicism.
Publicism.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, it's publicism.
But Aricia, you said something really interesting of, I don't want to go through this again in terms of this pop culture story. But it is like, we have these parasocial relationships with these pop culture figures where we take their lives very personal, because they're not just selling their new album or their new movie, they're selling themselves. The Kardashians are used to doing this for decades and decades. But with people like, Ben and Jen, when I, grew up studying to be an actor, it was always like, you don't want them to know about your personal life. Keep that for yourself, because you want them to buy you as this character or be able to be lost in your performance. And when you get in that kind of vacuum of pop culture, that stuff is all thrown out the window. And I think we could actually even talk about Taylor and Travis at this point. Sorry, Aricia, is that Travis, obviously a football player, very successful. Taylor, a musician that actually has album after album. Yet that's not even enough. We need to know their personal life, and they are showing us their personal life. They are teasing us with their personal life. Travis is on stage with her. I mean, on stage doing a choreographed routine. I even couldn't have predicted it, even though a lot of people did.
I know.
You could have predicted it, Ryan.
Well,
if you have even half a brain, you can predict it was coming.
Wow. Roast me again, Aricia. Wow. Roast me again.
For anyone
I never saw
it coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the bride and groom. We're talking dollar shot for the ladies tonight. Dollar shots for the ladies.
Ryan, my issue with Travis is that he's coming for podcasting jobs, and it's already a saturated market.
That's very true.
It wasn't until he talked about Taylor on his podcast that his podcast blew up. And now he's getting these acting opportunities. And this space does not need more straight white men, I'm sorry to say. And that's my issue.
No, I actually.
Ryan, no offense.
No, by the way,
you were already in it. So
but also I agree with you completely. My voice, it's saturated. Like, I'm so lucky I get to do this, but there's no part of anybody that needs to hear my story. I want to be able to talk to other people and like say, this is what I find funny, or this is why I love pop culture. But my personal story, like, I remember back in the day when you first came to LA and you're like, I'm going to sell a pilot and I'm going to write about Judd Apatow is right about your personal experience. So you're writing stories about you auditioning, and you're like, every white dude out there, there's like 10 HBO shows about us right now where you're like, I don't even want to hear my story. So I've got to figure out something else to do. But, you're completely right. Travis Kelce, I would love to see the podcasting numbers. What New Heights, which was already a popular podcast that he hosts with his brother. But when the Taylor stuff got injected into it, it probably, obviously exploded download.
They stole our Ambi.
What's your Ambi?
We were definitely nominated in the same category.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
we weren't even nominated.
I know, we weren't even nominated this year, and I have to blame somebody. And so I'm sorry, but Travis gets my blame. No,
you guys have been nominated for awards, by the way, which is
this was the first year we weren't, so it was truly devastating.
Yeah, I've never. The conversation hasn't. My name has never even come up around awards. So like the fact that you guys nominated and won. Yeah. By the way, Travis, there's only like one straight white guy a year.
He did this to us.
Yeah, it was the Straight White Guy Podcast Award. That's all it was.
And Smartless mad we didn't get it. More mad.
Smartless.
Like, we're three of them. Come on.
Oh, by the way, I posted Chapel Rowan. I love her new album like everybody does. But I got into her like 4 or 5 months ago before the big explosion hit, even though she'd been around for a while. And I was posting her on my Instagram stories the other day, and the guy writes, "You're a homo, right?" And I was like, "How do I?" Well, no, but by the way,
you're like sapien, yeah.
Well, but also that's the greatest compliment. I'm like, but also like, don't spread that around that I'm straight. Like,
I know, don't tell people.
Yeah,
it's not a good look.
But, sorry, guys, this is such a loose podcast because I'm actually really enjoying myself. So sorry if I'm being unprofessional. But in terms of Taylor and Travis, we're now in this thing where I think it's almost like Enron, too big to fail. Like I feel
Enron?
like it's like
Didn't
we're
Enron
coming.
Fail? That's
the thing. That's what I'm saying. Is that
I was like, did I forget my history?
No, how dare you speak ill of Enron, Aricia? But what I'm scared is it's so big that when the bottom drops out, which if real life is real life, bottoms drop out everywhere in our lives, in our romantic relationships. Yeah. Like as podcasters and listeners of all of our shows, we always leave ourselves out of it to a degree where we don't even look at our own lives and how messy and weird they are. Like everybody across the board, like there's not, I say this with love, like none of us are like just across the board normal doing perfectly. So it is interesting.
Just the idea of that is hilarious.
That's what I'm saying. But like, we all kind of then like, we're the judge and jury and this is what is perfect and this is what is not. And I think that gives us some control, but I'm really scared of when the bottom drops out of the Taylor Travis thing. Because Taylor, I think, will be able to monetize it, be able to get like an amazing album of it, a Grammy, a tour. Travis will have to like literally leave the country. And even leaving the country, like now he's screwed because he's been overseas with Taylor so much. Like, what do you see happening? Do you see this relationship lasting? And if not, what do you foresee happening?
I will say, if it doesn't last, I don't think Travis would have to leave because he still has all his football fans. Like, I think that there's a lot of fans of his from the football days.
From the football days, as if they're in the past.
Wow. They're about to be. He's on app now. He doesn't give a shit about football anymore.
Here's the thing about Travis, though. He's sexy. And you don't stop.
Well, I mean, like, no, he's obviously a good-looking guy. Sometimes he's like so. I mean, he's so frat. He's so frat.
Yeah. It's that energy that's like. But he was sexy if I was like 18, still in college.
But the thing about him is he's a golden retriever frat boy. Like, he's not a dickhead. He's not like, he might love that beer.
Coach he yelled at the Super Bowl.
Aricia, Andy reads over it. He was over it too. Okay.
No, I will not.
He's a competitor. He wanted to win that night.
I'm a competitor. I don't need to yell at people to win.
Jack Fox has entered the chat.
You've been yelling at Brooke all the past half hour.
Thanks, Ryan. Over someone who steals tips. This guy yelled at his coach once, and she wants him burned at the stake. And I'm on trial for J-Lo stealing tips for years.
She at least left $10. That's something. That server could get a nice cup of coffee at a nice Starbucks with that.
I just think that Travis Kelce, if the bottom drops out, I personally think that they're a fun couple. I think they seem to really like each other, and I hope that they last. I really do think that these two would be a good end game. But if the bottom drops out, I think Travis will be just fine. There's a lot of delusional Chiefs fans out there. Just kidding.
But it is interesting when you tie up business with romance. That's what we're even seeing, like Ben and Jen having to split things. They're not doing the public announcement until all of this stuff is settled. Like, we see all of the steps in place. They're just not making the official announcement. And yes, obviously NFL is going to be fine, but attendance, jerseys, all of these things even exploded even more once Taylor Swift became involved. Like, the economies were actually affected by these things. And that's what I find interesting. And by the way, I think everybody that listens to the show knows how much I love Taylor. And I really do love Taylor and Travis's relationship. I am thankful that they weren't where were they this week? Ireland together. I'm glad they weren't in Ireland together, because I don't think I could have handled another whole onslaught of conversation about him dancing on stage.
So in terms of like the bottom dropping out, I think that they only risk that kind of like thing happening if they stay, like, they maintain their level of exposure. And I get that so much of it is like the press and the media, but it's like, I feel like the relationships that really have longevity, like Lively, Ryan Reynolds, they're very deliberate about when they are seen out and like doing things. Whereas I know Taylor's touring right now and their relationship is still very new, not even a year old. So I feel like as long as they don't try to like spend forever in the public with their relationship like they're doing now, I don't see there being a need for the bottom to drop. But the public just has a thing of like, it's what's that quote from Batman where it's like, you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. So it's like the same thing with like celebrity status, I feel like, and being liked by the public.
Well, thank you for quoting Batman. I do appreciate that as a Batman lover. But also,
great quote.
If the bottom drops out, like and I'm not trying to get political here, but obviously we are in a political, like, we're headed towards an election. It's like, we need this relationship to last past the election, because I think already you just feel it. And I think with the debates the other night, I think it was this like slap in the face for a lot of people that like, no, this November of this year that we're voting. Like, and it is interesting that we are going, like, my prediction is, and pop culture as well, we're going to get more aggressive. We're going to get more mean to each other. We're going to stop listening. Even, we're already on like a very small level with all of those things. It's going to increase. And that's the scary part, because then you're looking at these pop culture figures to provide some sort of happiness for you.
And that's a sad state to be in.
Yeah.
To like seek happiness from people you don't even know. Like, it's only going to get worse. It's only getting worse.
We put on our favorite song to make us happy. We put on our favorite show to disassociate. We have a movie that we will keep watching again and again and again. Yeah. And so that's the thing that I find interesting about these things when we put so much stock into it. What happens when the bottom drops out? Like you said, Aricia said with Ben and J-Lo, I don't want to do this again. And I think that's the interesting point.
I think it's like Justin and Hailey Bieber. Like, people are still mad on Selena's behalf, and it's like,
I know, isn't that weird?
It's just such the way that these parasocial relationships are truly out of control at times, where it's like they'll post, like Page Six will post a picture of Hailey out with like pregnant, and people will be like, wow, good job, Justin, you shouldn't have left Selena for her. And it's like, what?
On what?
Selena is thriving. Justin is like, why do you care? And why would you comment that?
Well, there's an arrested development that happens in pop culture as well. Like whenever we truly love these people, whenever it meant the most, obviously for a lot of people, it was with Selena and Justin in that time. So it's like Frozen in Carbonite, where we can never get past this one feeling because it meant so much to us. But even Selena seems wildly happy with her boyfriend, Benny Blanco.
Yeah.
Right? Like wildly.
So happy.
Everything. And just imagine in our own personal lives, if everybody kept bringing up that one girlfriend or boyfriend that you had and said, it's never going to get as good as that. Never.
And like they were children, you know, like imagine your relationships in like high school. People
I know.
Like, wow, you guys.
The way you held hands in the hallway D. Oh my God. True love.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you brought up Justin Bieber, and they are like, it is wild to think of Justin Bieber. He's going to be a father this upcoming. He's going to, and Hailey's going to be a mom. Yeah. And the one thing I just very vanity and superficial, it's like, what the fuck is Justin wearing all the time now? Is somebody gonna is he wearing like adult versions of his children's clothes? He's wearing does Hailey ever go like, hey man, like we're about to hit fatherhood. Let's hit the Old Navy or something and like get you matching. Cause it's getting wilder. Like, I'm like, I don't know if he's panicking, but I saw him out in like a life vest the other day.
Oh no.
Literally panicking. Justin,
always kind of.
I was going to say, I think a big part of it is because he's been in the public for essentially his whole life. Yeah. That you tend to get. It kind of reminds me of like Macaulay Culkin. Like, not that he's wearing vests, but like a little bit.
Life or other.
Yeah, he's very anti-vest. But it just feels kind of like almost like a fuck you to society and to them telling him what to do or what to wear. Yeah. And it's like, I'll wear whatever I want. His Mary Janes were very cute though. I love those shoes.
Mary Janes.
Yeah, they're like those shoes with like the strap over them.
Yeah, I know what Mary Janes are.
They're so cute. Yeah, there's a picture of them. I think I
missed that. Wow.
No, I'm excited for the Instagram post. I'm excited for the skin on skin with Justin and the baby. You know, like I'm excited to see what the posting schedule will be with any celebrity. You've always got to pay attention to the posting schedule when the baby actually is born.
Do you think we'll see the baby's face, or do you think we'll get a bunch of hearts on the face or emojis?
I think Hailey would want to show the face and Justin wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think Justin will go back to being in front of this many people at such a young age has still impacted my mental health to this degree. I want to give my child the chance that I didn't, which is, potentially interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities, I mean, Blake Lively does, Blake and Ryan do it. Mindy Kaling. Yeah. I get it. I don't like it.
Mindy Kaling just announced she had another kid.
I know. Listen, I know we have no right to know, but I want to know. Like, tell me when you're pregnant. Tell me who the fathers are, for God's sakes. Is it Ryan from The Office?
Well, I mean, BJ Novak, that's what everybody wants it to be. But BJ Novak, it's a very interesting relationship. And that's, you talk about public perception. I feel like it's always been pushed the narrative of she's desperately in love with BJ Novak and he's kept her friend zone for so long, even though he'll like give little like breadcrumbing of like, oh, my best friend and I love. But that's interesting, the perception of that, whether that be true or not, I have no clue.
I hope it's the other way around. I hope it's her.
He's in love with her.
Me too, actually. That would be amazing.
I kind of could see that being it.
It would be refreshing too.
I don't want a relationship, but you can stick around.
We can be friends.
What makes you we know what makes everybody angry in pop culture. What makes you guys happy in pop culture right now?
Ooh,
what a great question that we.
By the way, just silence for the rest of the podcast. Silence.
Well,
everything
it's so quick with everything that it upsets me. It's like I could talk about that all day, but I don't think about what makes me happy.
Wow, real stumper here.
I'm like trying to think about.
Would have a field day.
It could be a TV show. It could be an album. It could be.
Okay. I thought you meant like current like stories that are going on in news.
No, it could be. I mean, listen, we could go stories, but it might be easier to go with what are you loving to watch or listen to.
Yeah. Well, I'm a huge reality TV person. I finished watching Perfect Match, of course. Love that show.
I heard, by the way, I did not get into Perfect Match, and everybody says I made such a huge mistake because it was an amazing season.
I liked both seasons, honestly. Like, I'm not a Love Island fan. I just cannot get into Love Island. I know I'm like in a minority there, but it's just like a bunch of dumb, like daring each other to kiss. It's like, what are we? Like,
yes.
So like Perfect
amazing.
Match kind of, I don't know. It does have a lot of elements of Love Island and like Too Hot to Handle, which I also didn't watch, but I don't know. There's just something fun about it. I think it's fun to see people from past shows kind of come together and the dynamic between them. So that's why I really like Perfect Match. But we also just started watching The Trust, Aricia and I together.
Wait, what is The Trust?
It's on Netflix. Show. It's like a group of people who are like at the beginning. I can't remember how many people there are at the beginning, 10 or 11, something like that.
I think it's 11. It's 11 because I did the math of dividing it by 11.
And they have a trust of money, and they can choose to like just stay together until the end of the show and split the money 11 ways, or they can choose to vote each other out anonymously. And you literally just go talk to the host and you say, I want to vote this person out. And if you're the only vote, that person goes. So like majority vote, just that person goes out. And it's a really good show. Like,
is this a brand new show, or has this been on Netflix?
It's newer.
For a bit now?
It's been out for like a year, I think. I want to say
there's just one season, right? Or
there's only one season right now.
Okay, yeah,
but it's a fun watch.
How did you guys find out about it?
My parents watched it and told me about it. And then we were having a girls' week because my husband was out of town on work. So Aricia came and stayed at my place. And we're like, we need something fun to watch. So I was like, oh, what about The Trust? Let's check it out. And it's fun to watch. So yeah. We're into it right now.
I can't tell if Aricia is like, you're like, yeah.
No, I was still thinking about my answer. But it is fun to watch. It is.
Well,
and that's
you know what?
A
fun background show.
Yeah.
Aricia, you keep thinking, Brooke, in terms of other reality shows.
No, I have an answer. It's not a reality show.
I thought you were still thinking. No.
It just
What's
came
your
to
answer?
me.
What is it?
Well, so it's just how like I'll see people, like I'll see these pages post about people, and like they'll post like I just saw a post about
I know
the
what you're
kid from 2.5 Men.
Oh,
as
that
like an adult,
religious as he
He's just I don't know what his story is, but he like they like Page 6 posted and all the comments were like, why are you posting this guy? He's not in the industry anymore. Don't do this. And like I just like that there's a lot more pushback against what these pages post. I mean, I don't scroll all the way to the bottom, so I'm sure there's shitty things, but it was like there was that, and then there was like a post about somebody who had a son who was struggling with addiction, and it's like these pages, I'm hoping there's a reckoning coming for the way media handles how we like talk about people, especially people that aren't in the public eye. Like children of celebrities, even if they're adults, they don't need to be talked about on celebrity pages.
Yeah. I mean, they're not on a reality show. They're not on, it is, but it is interesting though. And this is where society, and when you throw Reddit and like all of us online detectives out there, we feel like there is some, like we've been deputized where it is, I will dig into everything. I will look up your financial records. I will look up your family. I will look up what you bought when you had a ticket. You know, it really does seem like this again, like more and more you see these TikTok videos being made. And I would love to think that there would be a reckoning coming, but part of me doesn't know, because every time I see these posts that are wildly invasive, they seem to be popular posts. So I sometimes get worried because I'm like, well, I mean, talk about the, bottom dropping out. Will the bottom drop out? Like, I agree with you completely, but sometimes I don't know if I have more of a glass half empty kind of view of that, where I get nervous that it feeds into our baser desires.
I think the bottom's dropping out for everyone probably around November 6th, honestly. At least it doesn't matter what side you're on, it's dropping. So.
Well, I mean, like, listen, like I said, not a political show, but like, you're right. Either way, we are going to show how potentially divided we are instead of unified in any sort of way. Like we can't even agree on pop stars. We can't even agree on Selena and Justin.
The divided states of America.
Whoa! Wow.
Forget USA.
Wondery Media, what's up? Let's do this.
I'm pretty sure someone has said that before.
DSA?
Oh.
I don't know that they abbreviated it that way, but I'm pretty sure I've heard divided states of America.
Well, I'm copywriting the abbreviation. No one else thought of it.
Aricia, I've never heard it before. So that's yours. And I will, okay. Those are some good things that we're potentially looking forward to.
Also, Only Murders in the Building. I can't wait for that new season to come out.
I'm excited for that to come back too.
Because there was that picture of, like understudies or whatever with like Selena Gomez was with Eva Longoria. Steve Martin was with, I
Oh.
cannot remember, was it Zach Galifianakis with Martin Short?
Yes, Zach
I don't remember who was
Galifianakis.
with Stephen Martin, but I was like, I don't know what this is, but I cannot wait to find out. So that's
I
the other
will
thing I'm
say
excited about.
Only Murders in the Building kind of brings unadulterated joy, and it has its like own kind of universe, you know, like own rules in terms of that universe. But I'm speaking of something that makes me happy, and I don't usually watch Jimmy Kimmel Live, but Martin Short took over guest hosting duties
I saw
last
that.
week. He was doing his Jiminy Glick
Jiminy
character.
Glick.
It's a character he was doing in the 90s, and it was like varying, you know, degrees of success. There was a Comedy Central show, and but then he brought it back, and I feel like, God, it really worked. But Martin Short, to me, and Steve Martin, always just brings me just such joy. Like the way that they can tease each other, the way that they can be old men with each other. It makes me, even the way that they treat Selena Gomez as an equal and they love her dearly. There is something so pure and good. And I feel like those are the kind of things that like I try to run to now more than ever, because you're like, this is just funny. I'm just laughing.
Well, it's just, I mean, they're two, it's, if I end life being like that with Brooke as adults, like grown geriatric people, I will be I'll feel so fulfilled. Like,
we're already doing that right now. We're not quite geriatric yet.
It's just like, it's such a like genuine, pure friendship. And I feel like platonic friendships don't get nearly enough accolades. And so I love seeing it at Steve and Martin. And like you said with Selena, like it just seems so pure. That set seems like heaven. And I would love to just like, as a podcaster, I would love to be a consultant, because first of all, you can't record a podcast walking down
out in
New
the
York
street.
City.
Come on.
Like, come on. So yeah, I'd love to be a consultant or something.
Well, it's like back in the day, and just like that, you know, Carrie isn't a podcaster, but they were taking live phone calls. And I was like, who is advising this show? You know, shout out Che Diaz, but like, who is advising the show where you can take in live callers on your podcast that is going out live? It was such a weird little like crinkle for me that I was like, this doesn't make sense. But yeah, no, Martin Short and Steve Martin, and I love how they were talking about this week. They send each other pictures of poached eggs, because they'll be in so many hotels and they both order poached eggs, and they'll always say if they know it's a good hotel, depending on the poached eggs. So they will send each other pictures of poached eggs. And I was like, that to me is a dream friendship. Like just send each other something innocuous, because that is so close to reality. Yeah, so pure that we have those ourselves. We always think of stars as these kind of highfalutin, you know, obviously J-Lo is. But like these people, they're just sending pictures of poached eggs to each other, trying to make each other laugh.
Pictures of the amount of money she's taken back from.
She
no one replies,
shoving them under a mattress and like, look, got another loot today.
So Travis Kelce, back to him one moment, because at the show last week at Taylor Swift Eras Tour, they were in, you know, the little tent area with all the celebrities, and we saw Tom Cruise milling about, dancing in front of Travis, doing his Tom Cruise smile. And then this week they had the Glastonbury Music Festival overseas. Tom Cruise was there once again with all of the stars of like the new Mission Impossible movie, and they were watching Coldplay, I believe, together. Tom Cruise really going to a lot of music events. But then, you know, the story kind of widened to say, you know, Suri Cruise graduated this year, went to prom. We had a picture of Suri Cruise talking about invasive, you know, people that not in the public eye. They posted a picture of her kissing her boyfriend in this was in, I don't know, like New York Post or something over the weekend.
Shocking.
And it is interesting to talk, you know, to think about PR, is that Tom Cruise has not seen his daughter, Suri Cruise, or had, you know, what we know of any kind of contact for, I believe, over a decade at least with this person. And now she is 18 years old. And first off, it shows you how pop culture, like all of a sudden you're just like, holy shit, 10 years just went by like that.
I remember when Katie was pregnant.
Right?
And they had those shots of people walking in with these huge posters that were like, be quiet. And they're like, Scientology doesn't believe in making a lot of noise when you're giving birth or something. I remember reading that in like Us Weekly. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Well, Suri was like the first star kid that really got like all of this media attention. I feel like she was like the big one. Like everybody was talking about her. There was pictures of her everywhere. Like, and then she kind of just disappeared, you know? After a while.
Yeah, Tom and Katie separated. It was like, Katie was like, free again.
Once Suri became an SP, she's out of there.
Suppressive person. I mean,
Suppressive
no,
person.
I mean, that is interesting. Like, that's another kind of framework that we don't necessarily know how their divorce worked. A lot of people allege that, like she got to obviously have full rights to Surrey. They just, she can't like say certain things about Tom or certain things about the religion, but also was Surrey considered then a suppressive person by default because the mom is Katie? And now here we are all this time later, and Tom is at these concerts doing his smiling thing. He's a symbol, at one point, American as apple pie. He brought back films with Top Gun Maverick, where we went to the theaters again after the pandemic. And it's this weird thing of like, how do you marry the two of somebody's personal life and somebody's professional life? How do we try to present something that's a unifier that brings people back to like this arts and entertainment? But at the same time, we have really interesting questions about somebody's personal life. And it kind of goes into what you were talking about, like, where is that line? And can we divorce ourselves from our curiosity?
I think it helps that he's the father rather than the mother, because a mom goes to the grocery store without her kids as a celebrity, and it's like, wow, absentee mother. But also it's weird because he was filmed, he had those pictures with Connor, one of his adopted children, his son,
with Nicole Kidman, by the way, who they don't have contact with Nicole Kidman.
But it's one of those things where it's like that shot came out, and then of course like a lot of the conversation and the narrative was like, what about his daughter, his adopted daughter plus Surrey? And obviously there's no way to know what conversations have happened behind the scenes. Like, especially with given like how problematic people who were in the Scientology religion have come out and said it is, I can absolutely see a scenario where Katie was like, I don't want you to have any contact with my kid. Like, I don't want her anywhere near this. In which case it's kind of like, well, you got to do what's best for the kid. And we just can't know. Tom Cruise, I don't think he's a good father. Granted, I don't know him personally. He doesn't come across as a good father. He doesn't come across as really that great of a person. He's just good at acting. And he got in early and kind of settled himself as like a America, like you said. Like,
he's like a heartthrob. Everyone's like,
of America. Yeah, exactly.
A lot of us have grown up with this man on our screens.
Yeah. So he kind of, I think, got lucky that way. But also people just, I don't think they don't seem to care that much that he's not present in his kids' lives.
Yeah.
The Daily Mail seems to care a little.
Oh, well, of course.
Daily Mail cares about literally nothing important.
Really quick,
make it up.
When I was talking about Surrey when she was a kid, did I say Surrey or Siri?
Surrey.
Okay. It's like, I remember I used to get them when I was younger, I was like, no. And then now I'm thinking, I'm like, did I?
No, because if you said SIRI, my phone would have like came
true.
All
right.
Okay, so we have that. And then as we start winding down here, I did want to talk about two other big pop culture stories just to get your takes on. P. Diddy. There seems to be a silence now after there was a big explosion. We had his houses raided. We had that video released. Puff Daddy last week scrubbed his Instagram, not just his apology to Cassie, but everything. Which, somebody was like, you should have just left the apology up and scrubbed everything else. So there are still so many rumors, so many stories out there. The government, how are they involved? Because they raided the house. What was your take on all of this, ladies, through this last couple of months with P. Diddy?
I want him to burn. That pretty much sums it up for me.
Yeah.
This guy sucks. And his apology was garbage. He just did it because he felt like he had to. And it was so disingenuous. And we all saw it, especially just taking it down. It's like, you don't care, dude. You suck.
It boggles my mind. I mean, I know the Los Angeles ADA or DA or whoever came out and was like, we can't prosecute because of statute of limitations, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
For the Cassie part.
Yeah. For like a video that was like literally, you don't even need a jury. Like, it's like, we see this, you're guilty. And it boggles my mind that we live in a society where that kind of something happens and the very next step isn't arresting and charging. Like, it's just, and it's like that came out. It was horrific to see. It's still, just thinking about it makes my stomach turn. And it's like, he's still walking around free as a bird. And it's just, that guy has got so many layers of hell ahead of him. And I wish they would start now.
I do think that the home raid may mean there's something bigger going on that they're investigating. Maybe that just hasn't happened yet. So,
well, I think, we've seen that the wheels of justice move very slowly. So something obviously else is going to happen. I just don't know when, but I think it's frustrating because we are so observant of pop culture that all of a sudden when it's like silence, when you're like, what is going on? How is this man just walking around? And the thing with Puff Daddy that you get the sense of too, is that there's such an ego at play where I don't legitimately think he's walking around feeling bad. You know, I don't think he's necessarily sorry. I think he feels like he has earned his behavior towards staff, women, all of these things because he's done some good along the way. And I find that interesting, though, like you said, Aricia, when we see it in black and white, nobody can argue that videotape. Nobody can argue. And even for me, even seeing, because the raids had already happened, seeing that videotape put it into such a black and white perspective where you're like, oh, there's no excusing this. There's no I had a bad day. There's no, and he was very aware of this because he paid the hotel $50,000 to like keep the video. So it's one of those. But I mean, like, so, and then all the rumors that go on top of it is that you hear then how this involves potentially other celebrities, how Jay-Z might have been involved, and that's why Beyonce might have kept quiet. Like all of these things, then it kind of this trickle down economics where you're like, I don't know. What are we to believe? Are we to believe that anybody past a certain financial statement is at fault?
Maybe I feel like this stuff obviously was going on, is going on, has gone on for years and years and years. I mean, this was happening before he reached the status he's at now in terms of like celebrity. And the thing is, people like him, they're just surrounded by enablers. And it's like nobody, and and I'm not blaming people who were in positions where they were like a lower tier. And it's like, how do you know what to do? I mean, it's easy for me to say not in that situation, but it's like, I see anything like that. You don't stand for it, but it's just, it's gotta be, it's like, it's insidious. Like, I'm sure there are people of celebrity status that maybe they didn't know exactly how violent he was or the terrible things he did, but you can tell a person's character pretty quickly. Like, he's the kind of person where I could easily see him like speaking terribly to somebody. And it's like, if this is how he speaks in front of people, how is he speaking privately? And it's just one of those things where it's like, so many people get to a level with their fame and their status and their wealth where they're immune to consequences, or they think they're immune to consequences. And to an extent they are. Like, you look at our justice system again, like, you have a lot of money, the punishment is a lot not as intense if you don't have a lot of money. Like, it's just a fact.
I wonder how many back boardroom deals are going on with P. Diddy right now with his $1 billion of keeping so many people quiet. Like, you just kind of have to speculate. But also, we saw how he talked to people on Making the Band. I know. I thought it was kind of cute and funny, and like, he's making them go cross the bridge to get a cheesecake. That's funny. Yeah.
Well, that's like Ray J when he was on Shannon Sharp's show. He talked about that, and he's like, I'm so sorry to Cassie. Like, I'd been around them a bunch, and I didn't know any of this was going on. So it's like, did he really not know this stuff was going on? Or because I feel like if he did, why say anything at all? Why bring it up in the first place? So it's like, how much was he around them to not really know this was going on?
Or how much was it just like willfully ignorant, where it's like,
yes. Yeah.
Like, they went into a back alley and she comes back out crying. They probably just had like a lover. And it's like, we don't push. And it's like, it's just, and Diddy got to this status where it was like, just kind of like reading it. I mean, all like anonymous, but like these accounts of people that have worked with him and near him or in his vicinity, and it's just like he became this power. People treated him like a god, and it's like, we gotta stop treating human beings like anything other than fellow human beings. Nobody's better than anybody.
I catch myself doing that all the time, of like hero worshiping people, or even like I always joked about how I used to view Tom Sandoval from Vanderpump Rules. I thought he was like awesome, and then you're like, oh my god,
oh no,
I was like, oh okay. And by the way, I that'll be in my wedding DJ speech too, of like, what up? Do you guys have a heart out in a minute, or can I bring up one more thing?
No, we're gonna
bring up one more thing. Yeah.
Okay. So you brought up the Ray J interview with Shannon Sharp, which also made me, it was very interesting because I believe in that interview, he also talked about if he could go back and change things with the Kim Kardashian sex tape, that he almost felt, and like boohoo Ray J, almost felt responsible for unleashing the Kardashians on the world and a certain type of pop culture on the world. And I thought that was so interesting. Like, what a horrible sequel to Back to the Future that could be, but also that there's a little truth to that little moment swung certain doors wide open, not just for the Kardashians, but how we view pop culture in the year 2024. Did you agree with any part of that Ray J statement, or curious about it?
Well, I don't know. He was like, I take some, like, maybe OnlyFans wouldn't exist today. Like, I'm like, you're giving yourself a lot of credit.
I know.
Like,
sex workers wouldn't exist if it weren't for Ray J.
It was all Ray J.
Like, something that's been around since there's been bodies.
Yeah, like we talked about this on Rich and Daily. Like, like there was the Pam and Tommy sex tape. There was Paris Hilton sex tape before the Kim and Ray J sex tape. So I think he's giving himself a lot of credit. I think maybe as far as the Kardashians go, even maybe then he's giving himself a lot of credit. People have consumed them. That's on us, to some degree.
I think there's got to be, I mean, if I were Ray J, I'd be like, I should have permanently hitched my wagon to them somehow. Because just looking at the two trajectories of Kim Kardashian and Ray J post sex tape.
Yeah.
I think we have a clear winner.
I'm going to say, I kind of like to see a woman getting
I think it's
over
great.
a guy. That's nice.
I mean, it's like, I would love to build a legacy on a sex tape. Like, what a dream.
Oh my God. I mean, just to even be able to like take my shirt off. Like, I mean, it would be amazing. Like, you guys remember the Ray J reality show? Are you here for the love? Are you here for the love of Ray J?
We talked about it. Aricia didn't know about it. And I was like, that was one that I definitely watched back in the day.
How many, it was one season, right?
I think it was, I thought it was 2 seasons. Maybe
it might have been 2. It wasn't more than 2 though.
There were so many shows of a guy trying to find love that I completely missed out on. Like, I didn't know Travis Kelce had one.
I know.
People love to talk about that.
Chasing Kelce.
Chasing Kelce. I was like, finding
There's
Kelce.
There's a lot out there that I didn't know about.
It's hard for men to hook up with people, obviously.
It all started. Well, did it start with Flavor Flav or did it start with Brett Michaels?
Well, it started with Surreal. Like, I just talked about this on my Patreon, and then on Friday I was talking about this because Paramount and MTV and all that just deleted like decades of their social media, like all of these amazing clips and amazing shows they wiped their hard drives supposedly from, which is so weird and disappointing. But there was a string of reality shows on VH1 in the early aughts, like Surreal Life, which then led into Rock of Love, Flavor of Love. Charm School, Megan Wants a Millionaire, Celebrity Fit Club, Celebrity Rehab. It got darker and darker.
It really did get darker and darker.
I mean, VH1 for a time.
For VH1
that was MTV, but like MTV, VH1 together, there was so many insane reality shows that I'll explain to people, and they don't even. They're like, what? Like, I was talking on the Patreon, like all of this ended on VH1 because there was a murder with one of the contestants from Megan Wants a Millionaire. And the guy didn't win the thing, went off, got married like immediately because he got his feelings hurt on the reality show, and then ended up murdering his wife. And it was like this whole manhunt for him. No, this is 2009. 2009.
There was somebody recently that like ended up being a murderer who was on a game show, or a dating show, but a while ago.
Yeah, no, 2009, and he ended up taking his own life, but that put VH1 stopped doing their reality shows after that because it actually brought into question background checks on reality people. It turns out like somebody had dropped the ball on this guy's background check, and there was an assault charge on an ex of his that they did not catch.
Wow.
And so 51 Minds, which produced that show and all of these like Rock of Love type shows, VH1 says we cannot be this liable and put ourselves this out there. But then it was interesting because now in reality TV in the year 2024, we had Bethany Frankel's Reality Reckoning. And I'm just like our whole conversation today is how everything is cyclical. Like, are we moving forward? Are we getting anything done? Or are we just repeating the same mistakes again and again?
The one dating show I want to come back. I want 2 dating shows to come back. Parental Control and Next. I think.
Oh my God. The Next Bus.
That was wild.
That show was so fucked up. The people that would walk out and then not even say a word to the person was like, next.
Yeah, that was rough.
And then always the little box would be like, Roger, 26, has swallowed 15 condoms accidentally. Like doesn't wipe properly. It would always be the weirdest facts.
Yes.
And then
and
like
Room
low
Raiders.
money.
Remember
Room
Room Raiders? I
Raiders.
used to be
What was
terrified
Room
that I'd
Raiders?
somehow end up on that show. The guy could, the girls would get taken, or the guys or whoever, and then they would come and go through their rooms. And they would like go through their underwear and stuff. It's like, what?
But I watched all that stuff. I
Unhinged.
watched all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and we don't have a place like even Pimp My Ride. I would like
Oh, God.
devour as some sort of reality show. Okay, but back to the
yeah,
Kardashians.
I think we are
Oh,
going.
right.
I think we are kind of learning nothing to some extent.
Yeah.
You know, but
Oh,
yeah.
but at the same time, also learning something. I think Aricia's point of like some social media stories, you see a lot of people in the comments being like, "Let's stop doing this. Let's stop talking about this. Let's leave these kids alone." So we're learning some things. Is it making
Yeah.
a change? I don't know.
Well,
I
and
feel
also
like
the
the
HD
needle-
is getting better. The HD is getting better. That's the,
Yeah.
the image
Yeah.
is getting better.
Yeah. The needle's moving, but so slowly, and it's hard because all the bad needles are moving so much faster.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it enough to counteract? I don't know. It does feel like we're heading to a reckoning.
Yeah.
Reality reckoning.
Well, just a reckoning in general. Just like celebrity consumption,
Yeah.
the stuff that's out there.
We couldn't have predicted
today.
podcasts 15 years ago. This, we didn't predict us here talking on a Sunday about all of this stuff. Like we've spent an hour, a very easy hour talking about this stuff. We wouldn't have predicted any of this stuff. But the last question though, Kardashian related, do you feel their stranglehold grip on pop culture is lessening? Because I feel like this is the one season where I almost feel like it's a chore for me to watch their show. When I watch it, I feel nothing. And by the way, I'm not being negative. I'm just saying my personal feeling, and it could change because we all know they're just amazing at business. Do you get the sense in covering daily pop culture on your show that the stranglehold is lessening?
I'm surprised this is the season that's for you. The second they went to Hulu, I was like, it's just it very much reads like their Hulu show reads as like, we just want a show where we can say whatever we want, which is like the point, I guess, of a reality show. But they'll take stories that are in the news and they'll just get to tell their side completely unopposed. And the show has nothing exciting. Like at least on E, like stupid shit would happen. Like even dumb little pranks. And like now it's like it's so clearly scripted and so planned. Nothing feels authentic. So I feel the same way.
Yeah.
What about you, Brooke?
I don't know that I've ever watched it and felt anything necessarily, but like
What about when Scott was stuffing money in that server's mouth?
Remember he was in Vegas and he was like,
that was that. My dad and I to this day will quote that episode where Scott was like drunk off his ass. It was that Vegas episode. And someone knocked on the door and Scott's like, "It's the cops. Don't look them in their eyes." And like to this day,
what a stupid thing to say.
So we're always like, "Don't look them in their eyes." Like, it's just like that moment is like burned to my brain. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, because every comment you see online about them, there's like maybe 4 comments that are having their back in some way. Everyone is like, "I hate them. Get them off my feet. I'm sick of them. Make them go away." But it's like, they're not. And to some extent, they don't need their reality show at this point.
I know. I wonder why they have it. Like, that's why I'm just like,
Well,
I
maybe
feel like
it
they
is
have it to have like a space
I think it's
to push
to have
back.
also a space to show their wares, to show their products, to show like but it is interesting that it almost wish fulfillment in a way, where we're watching Kim Kardashian have like a Make-A-Wish Foundation every week for some things that she dreamed about in her career. And you're right, like we know, the audience knows, like I remember that Scott episode so clearly. Like we know when we're seeing something real or seeing something that we shouldn't be seeing, and it was so exciting. But now everything is just all cyber trucks and mansions and Malibu and all of these things that we'll never potentially experience. Yet there's not anything aspirational in it for me where I would want any of those things based on what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and even everything I do see, it just feels very put on. Like it doesn't feel like back when they were just very unfiltered and desperately trying to like get fame. It felt more authentic. And now it's just, oh, what? And that's like the whole episode. Like, what's Chris lying in bed in Paris while Kendall goes from, it's like, this is the most boring set. Like, they try to make it exciting. Like, tell me what's going on in there. Oh, Mom, I don't want to. Like, and it's like, this is so fucking boring.
Oh, I watched
Our
Kendall walk
lives are more exciting.
I watched Kendall walk a runway. Chris said she didn't recognize her daughter because she was wearing a pair of black glasses. That was the storyline. I was looking. I thought I missed you. I thought I missed Kendall. I'm like,
I was like, she's not Hillary Duff in a Cinderella story, okay?
Yeah, it's like, who is Chris? Lois Lane?
That's it's a pair of black glasses, you idiot. How dumb do you think we are? Okay, I could talk to you ladies all day, every day. You're amazing. Tell everybody, like, break all of the stuff that you're involved in, the daily, the weekly. How does it all work?
Okay. Right.
So we have we have a weekly show, Rich and Daily, Monday through Friday,
which is pop culture news, recent pop culture.
And it's only like 15, 20 minutes.
Nice,
that
like,
one.
Palatable, quick bite. And then on Tuesdays, Even the Rich new episodes drop. And that's, I don't even know, what are we covering right now?
I think
because we record in advance, so it's hard to know like what's actually being dropped.
I don't know when this will come out, but Spice Girls just aired, so all of Spice Girls is out, and then we're running actually Grace Kelly and Stephanie of Monaco from Royals will actually be running on ETR. And then after that is Monica Lewinsky, because we are doing a history. Wondery is doing like a whole history month thing. So Monica Lewinsky, we're covering that whole scandal.
Which let me tell you, as somebody who like that was in like the ether as I was growing up, man, I knew nothing. I knew literally nothing.
Yeah, it's really good. So Even the Rich basically deep dives on celebrities or famous families, and then Even the Royals is about royals. That's on Mondays, about royals throughout history and all over the world. So we've got queens and kings from really.
We've done a Hawaiian princess. We've done European
Marie Antoinette. We're doing Henry right now. We're recording the 6 wives of Henry VIII for the history.
That guy's a piece of work. Him and his lesions on his legs, piece of work.
Yeah, he's trash.
He's never going to work again. This guy,
never,
not in this town.
No,
not if I have anything to say about it. You think Army Hammer has it bad?
Oh my god. Well, this was amazing. Thank you so much for being here again. Truly a pleasure. And hopefully, I don't even know when was the last time we talked, but hopefully it's not as long as last time because this was great.
Thanks, Ryan.
Always fun.
Bye.